If this one thing that I've really learned in my 20-something years of being on this earth is that the more men grow older, the more annoying they are. And I definitely know this because I come from a majority male household. I'm the only woman in my family now. I have 3 brothers, my dad, and I'm the only woman because my mother passed away some time back. And just existing in this household alone is a chore. Because one, I come from a tribe that is deeply patriarchal, but also Kenya as a society is patriarchal. So me, as the only woman in my family, my goodness, I'm just subjected to copious amounts of misogyny, and it's not like the blatant, it's the small things. And I think really when it comes to just living with men in general, it's always so stressful, not because of the big things. It's, well, a lot of them are physically violent, but it's mostly the small things that really just drive you mad, and over time they compound and they cause you a lot of mental stress, and you're just like, why am I living this? I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose to be born in a male-dominated household in a patriarchal society. And I hear a lot of married women talking about how hard it is living with a man. And I'm like, yeah, these men, they start having these unknowing traits when they are living in their homes, in their families, and they're never corrected. Misogyny that you see men propagating in their workplaces, in their marriages, is not something new. It's because it started in their homes. They say charity begins at home. That's why I'm very critical of parenting, because parenting is the root of all the evils and also the good in our society, but mostly even the evils. And we need to start holding parents accountable for how they're parenting their kids. And a lot of these men are misogynistic because they don't have fathers who are present in their lives to teach them about treating people as human beings. Because I've really grown up in a patriarchal tribe and society, misogyny is nothing new, but I think there's just something different about facing misogyny from your own family. I mean, I look at my brothers and I'm like, my childhood was stolen away from me because I was busy parenting you as a third parent, while my peers were playing and making friends. I was wiping your butt, and now you are being misogynist to me? I look at them and I'm like, when you went to school and you were scared of pooping in the pit latrine and you pooped on yourself, you wore my shorts, then you have the audacity to be misogynist to me? I'm the first one in my family, but you see the way they treat me, the way they want to talk to me, and I'm like, yo. But you see, they do so because they're being taught by the men in the tribe. They've been taught how women are insignificant, how whatever it is that we say does not count, and it's just annoying. One of the things that men do that is absolutely annoying is weaponized incompetence. And I see this with my own brothers. When you tell them to cook rice, they're going to cook rice, but it's not going to be cooked. It's not going to be fully cooked. So when you eat it, you can taste how hard it is, you can taste how gummy it is, and then they're like, oh, I like it like this. But when you dare cook rice like that, they're gonna be like, oh, it's not fully cooked. But I'm like, why then do you do it yourself? But they do that because they do not want to be told to do it again. They are doing it purposely so that you don't have to ask them to cook rice ever again. And it's the same thing with all house chores. You tell them to wash dishes. It's either they're gonna take a very long time to wash dishes that normally takes me like 10 minutes to wash. They're gonna take an hour, and on top of that, they're not going to clean them well, so that they can just piss you off, so that next time you even think about telling them to wash dishes, then you're not going to do it because they're going to do it badly, and you'll have to do it again, or they're going to take too long. And I really don't know where they pick this up, this pretense that they don't know how to do something, so they're not asked to do it, and they take it into their workplaces and they take it into their marriages. But this behavior starts at home, and there needs to be someone who's telling them to not do that. And because in patriarchal societies they don't even respect women, they don't see you as a human being, if you correct them, they will not listen to you. That's why it's important to have father figures in families, because if a father tells their son that you should be cleaning dishes very well and not taking your time because you don't want to be asked to do it again, they're going to listen to their father. Where are the fathers? Huh? Actually, a lot of fathers, when it comes to parenting, are just propagating their weaponized incompetence because they think that the only thing that makes them a father is providing money. Are you a philanthropist to your family or what? You see, men contribute very little to their relationships, to their families, and they expect to be given a pat on the back for it. They're the same people that don't think that chores are a lot of work, but when you tell them to do them, they want to do them badly, so they're not asked to do it again, which means they understand that it's a lot of work. And on top of that, when they actually do a chore, they want to be given a trophy for doing it, and for the rest of the week, anytime you tell them to do something, they're like, no, I can't do that. I washed dishes on Monday. And you're like, I do this every single day, but no one even sees what I'm doing. Huh? And then they have the audacity to look at you and they're like, you don't even care about how I'm feeling. And I'm like, why would I care about your feelings when you don't even care about my humanity? It's these small experiences that just make living with men just unbearable. I just cannot believe that this is my experience in my own home, where I didn't even choose to be born, but somehow I'm expected that I would get married to a man and put up with this. Like, no, I think I've had my own dose of putting up with weaponized incompetence. And then there's something else that I deeply hate, and it's called gaslighting. And I think this is just one of those things that is just so cruel, because they do it knowingly and they just want to put you down over and over. Recently, the TV remote in my home stopped working, and I was told that I'm the one who destroyed it. I kept on saying over and over that I did nothing, that I don't know why it stopped working, but yet I was told that I'm the one who actually did something to it. And then a few days later, my younger brother comes back from school, and then he looks at the remote and he says, actually, it's the remote that's the problem. And he was believed. No one told him that he's the one who's the problem, or he's the one who has destroyed the remote. But when I said it, it automatically was, no, it has to be me who did something to the remote and not the remote that had a problem. Just recently again, there is this guy who is doing some landscaping at home. Then he was looking for a panga. Then he asked me to look for the panga in the kitchen, and I do, and I tell him it's not here. And then he turns around and is like, no, it is there. And I was like, is it that I'm blind or what? And the panga was literally just next to him. If it was one of my brothers who told him that the panga is not in the kitchen, he would just have believed it. He wouldn't have told them, oh, the panga is there, I'm sure it's there. But when it's me, I'm gaslighted over and over. Another form of gaslighting is when you're not believed when you say things. The number of times that I'm always being reminded that whatever it is that I think or whatever it is that I've experienced is not that important or is not that serious, I can't even count. While growing up, I never really liked to eat meat, but I was always being told, you are the one who's the problem. I would even be told that I have grandma's teeth because I didn't like eating roasted red meat. So it was always being reiterated that if I don't like eating meat, it is me who's the problem. It's not the meat that's the problem. Fast forward years later, and people in my family don't want to eat meat. Why? Because they're now saying that red meat is not good for you. And I'm like, this is what I've literally been saying my entire life. But now that you've decided you don't want to eat meat, you are recognizing that it's the meat that's the problem. But when I said that the meat is the problem, you said that I was the problem. It's also this thing that they do where they're always minimizing women's interests because they see it as not important. For example, I like watching reality TV, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but my brothers are always being like, so why are you even watching this? What kind of importance is this having in your life? But I'm like, each and every time you're watching violence as entertainment, literally don't say anything. When you want to do your sports betting and you're wasting your money, I am not saying anything. But why is it that when I am doing the things that I like, you want to put them down? Why do you think that your interests are much more important than mine? You want to talk about how whatever I'm watching is important to my life. How is violent entertainment important to your life? No wonder each and every time your favorite sports team is losing, you want to beat everyone up because you think violence is the ultimate thing, huh? Each and every time that a girl tells you no, you want to beat him up because your ego is bruised. My goodness, my interests are not even infringing on anyone's rights, but your interests are actually making you to be a worse human being for the planet. And then you want to make me feel bad? you want to minimize whatever it is that I like. And then there are these foolish men who are always saying that the sign of a good girl is one who gets interested in whatever you're interested in. Like if you like sports, the girl should also start liking sports. But these men in these relationships never get interested in whatever it is that their girl is interested in. So you think your interests and your hobbies are much more superior than what women and girls like? Like, what kind of stupidity is this, and why do we have to put up with this? And something else that goes hand in hand with this gaslighting is how men are always big talk and no show. They expect that whatever it is that they say is accepted as the ultimate gold. They expect that when they have an idea about a business, that everyone is going to drop everything that they're doing and support it, even when they know nothing about a business. There's this guy who had a startup in France, and I happened to join his company, and it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my entire professional life. I was there for 1 month, but the amount of trauma that I got, it took me a year to heal from that. This guy was really good at talking, and I get that is how he actually got investors. But when it actually comes to running the company, he knows nothing. He just kept on saying, we're gonna throw things to the wall and see what sticks. But I'm like, but you still need to have a strategy. Even if you're throwing things to the wall, you still need to have a strategy. You have to have a strategy about how you're doing things. And of course, he didn't listen to me. And then he even told me that women deserve to be paid 98% less because they go on maternity leave. And I'm like, what? This is the kind of person I have to deal with? A CEO who is so insecure, and the only thing that he wants from his employees is for people to massage his ego. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. And by the time I was actually leaving, I was like, am I the problem? But when the company actually died 2 months later, I was like, oh wow, it was actually not me, it was that guy. And that was the third company that he had started in 3 years. All of them are failures. Because of what? Big talk, no show. But God forbid if a woman even fails in their first business, or even in the second business, or in the third business in under 3 years. My goodness, you're going to be blacklisted everywhere. The things that people are going to say about you, when it comes to a man, they're like, oh, he's a serial entrepreneur, he is taking risks. Bullshit. Then there's something that I recently learned to be called kin keeping, and this is something that women are always doing, but men never do this thing called kin keeping. And this is essentially where you're always anticipating the needs of other people. For example, when you're cooking a meal, as a woman, we are always being taught to cook for the family. So you're even thinking about people's allergies and ensuring that you're catering to all of them. But when it comes to a man, when you tell a man to cook in the family, they're just going to cook whatever it is that they want. They're not even going to think about other people's allergies. And when you ask them, why did you cook this, and you know this person does not eat this, they'll be like, well, they can cook for themselves what they want. But if you as a woman decide that you're going to cook whatever it is that you feel like and not put into account the allergies of other people, you're going to be crucified. How dare you do that? Why are you being so selfish? For a lot of Kenyan children who are in boarding schools, there's always like a visiting day, and your parents will literally come with food from home and just spend time with you. And you will always notice that when it's the mother who is going for the visiting day, like there's so much cooked for the child, and the mother always cooks the things that the child loves, because that is the day to literally show love through food to your child who is in boarding school. But when it's just a man or a father visiting their child, they'll just have a newspaper in their hand, and they'll probably just buy a soda and bread and take it to their child. And they think that it's enough. And when you ask them, why are you not going above and beyond for your child who's in school, they're like, oh well, you went to school so that you can study, you can eat whatever you want when you're out of school. I mean, it's it doesn't even stop there, because in a lot of families, the mother knows everything about the child and the father knows absolutely nothing. If a child gets sick and the mother is not there and the father has to take the child to hospital, if the doctor is even asking about the vaccines that the child has gotten, the allergies that they have, the father most of the time is like calling the mother because he doesn't know. You even find that in a lot of marriages, when a man gets sick and they even go to hospital and they're given medicine by the doctor, they don't even know the medicine they're supposed to be taking, because they expect that it's the wife who is going to ensure that he takes his medicine. Like, it's the job of the wife to keep you alive. I'm so exhausted just thinking about this. I even get shocked when I hear stories, especially on TikTok, of men who are complaining because their girlfriend did not cook for his friends when his friends visited his house. And like, they're your friends. Why are you expecting your girlfriend to be the one that is cooking for them and taking care of your friends? I mean, what kind of nonsense? How is it that the whole world, all the other species have evolved over time, but the men that we have are still thinking in a worse way than even bushmen and cavemen? And I'm just like, why? Why do we have to live in such a society where women are expected to be excellent, to be extraordinary, and men are just allowed to be mediocre? I really think that one of the reasons why cohabitation is not allowed, especially by the church and society, is because they know that when a man and a woman start living together without getting married, the man is going to be left alone. The woman is just going to be like, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. So that's why they tell you should get married so that you can start living with a man. Because they know that when you're already married, you are basically trapped and you can't run away, and you have to put up with the weaponized incompetence. You know, the beauty of life is that you get to charter your own path. I think that as women, we are in an era where we can actually make choices about our own lives. Well, a lot of women in other parts of the world cannot do that, but I think that someone like me who has that freedom to make that choice, it's not actually a freedom, because even if I make choices that are good for me, I get vilified and crucified for it. But yeah, I'd rather face that than follow what society tells me I'm supposed to follow and just end up miserable. It's no. I'd rather be called a bad woman than be called a good woman and be miserable.